Good morning, world. Wherever you are today, thank you so much for joining us here at Elim Church. You're joining myself, Reverend Ben Cooper and Sandra Robson as we gather around the mics and as we just discuss the world of the Persecuted Church. We've had a few weeks off because of Christmas, because of the building work and everything that's going on, in society and culture and everything. Life is busy. Things are hard at the moment within the UK, but God is moving very, very clearly. We welcome Sandra to the mics, and we are looking into Barnabas Fund today, and we have titled this 30-minute podcast up of overview of Africa. We may backpedal a bit, we may be just seeing where God is going to lead us, but good morning. Thank you to everybody that downloads these podcasts around the world. As I say, we are really, really blessed. We thank you so much from the bottom of our heart for the thousands of downloads that are being listened to right across the platform of Elim Church. So welcome. Sandra, good morning.
Good morning and Happy New Year to everybody.
And Happy New Year to you too. Thank you so much, Sandra. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Oh.
But we're in.
Yeah.
We've made it. The builders are making a noise upstairs. There's a lot happening. This is very raw. So just over the last couple of months, as we've been recording these, we've had the builders in. We've got major renovations. So thank you to everybody that has stayed with us. But here we go. Sandra, where are we today? Africa?
Yeah. So, last time we were talking about displaced refugees. It was coming up to Christmas, and we were asking, telling people, what was going on, the situation, and how certain children were spending Christmas, and reporting on that. And I also mentioned that there had been some good news in Iran, that on the 9th of December, the Supreme Court said that house church membership was not a crime. So we look forward to seeing how that will play out and how many people will be released. And, from this, so we'll see whether that does bring some freedom, some relief. That news. So watch this space. So yes, people are thanking God for this breathing space, and meaning that they're not going to be sent to prison, or tried for just being a member of a house church in Iran. So those were the things I said I would look into. And then I said that there'd been a report by Barnabas that had come in my February magazine, which came to me just at Christmas. Mm-hmm. And I said I hadn't had quite time to look through it or read it, but it was saying, that they've been looking at the deep roots of why there is the unrest now, and why we're seeing the violence against Christians now. And so I thought it would be helpful to look at that. Sadly, there have been more killings, more kidnaps, more stuff going on in Nigeria over this time. And Barnabas have really been, keeping a great watch on this. And, the guy that heads up Barnabas has got a lot of insight and understanding of the situation. So I thought I'd give you some background. There's always a good news story from it, but if we get the background, we can see why our brothers and sisters are suffering.
Yes.
And then we can really be strategic in our prayers and seeing how the enemy is working. And one of the things that I noted and very much highlighted what James says about the tongue and, the danger of, what we say. You can really see this. So it says the rise of Islam in November 2020, the Global Terrorist Index, I've mentioned this before, reported that the centre of gravity for Islamic State, also known as ISIS and Daesh, and this activity had moved from the Middle East to Africa. Africa is experiencing a surge in terrorism. And we've talked about many, instances of this across Nigeria, and other places. And so he said, well, why, is this happening now? Well, it started a long time ago, and they feel that the present situation is a lot due to the Islamic ideology seeping across Africa, which has deep roots from 1970s, when the Muslim World League, funded by Saudi Arabia, poured money into northern Nigeria, distributing Islamic literature, setting up Islamic schools, and offering scholarships for religious universities in Saudi Arabia. And apparently in 1978, all that they did started to have an effect in Africa. And this society, the Izala Society.
It's very difficult to pronounce.
I said ALA Society, which was formerly known as the Society of Removal of Innovation and Re-establishment of Sunni. So this is a particular form of Islam, right? And basically this movement, and I've mentioned these things before to do with Egypt. This movement is committed to Wahhabism. So that's WAHHABISM. And it's a pure form of Islam, very strict Islam. And virtually impossible to achieve rank or office in northern Nigeria without links to this ISIL thing. And there was a key figure. There was this guy, Abu Barak Muhammad Gumi, and he argued. Now, this is where I say about the power of the tongue. Argued that Muslims should never accept the rule of non-Muslims.
Wow.
He made this statement to 12 northern Nigerian states, adopting elements of Sharia law after a Christian was elected president in 1999.
Wow.
That's what set all this off, they say, was that he said that Muslims should never be ruled by anyone except themselves.
Anyone except themselves. Yes. So they govern themselves.
Yes.
They go by the rules of themselves. They go by the very strict and very deep. And there is another side to Islam, isn't there? We see that very clearly.
They want to so of course the touch paper was, he said this at the time that this guy who happens to be a Christian became the president.
Yeah.
So it was a very,
very prominent, very powerful, strategic bit of planning. But could we say it was planning, or was it actually a spiritual move?
Yeah.
Because we know the physical.
What it has led to, what it is, it unleashed, because he says, so there was somebody who had a lot of money, Mohammed Idris Nasruddin. He was a highly successful Eritrean-born businessman based in Jos in Plateau State, where there's a lot of this violence is going on now. And he helped the Muslim Brotherhood, Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood, and channeled funds from Nigeria to various Islamic causes, including Bin Laden and things. And now what's happened is that's coming back.
Yeah, it's come circle. It's come in a circle again.
And he took it out, and now they're coming back. They're giving back.
All this information, Sandra, is right before our very eyes. It's in black and white print. Yeah. It is in the Barnabas magazine. Yeah. I've actually got it online as well. So all this information that we bring to the mics, is clear and very easy to read. Obviously, the pronunciations.
Yeah, I
but what we
apologise for
have,
that.
no, Sandra's no need to apologise. So we got Barnabas Fund. If you are looking out there to support ministries in the world of the Persecuted Church, please have a look at Barnabas Fund. They got so much good stuff online, and it's easy to find. It's really easy to find. So that's where we're coming from. You know, simple.
Yeah. So Isala apparently, this ideology and the finances brought about Boko Haram. That's my main, so you need to see how, that little statement then was taken up, and then through money and other things has then led to this group with this particular ideology that they must get rid of the Western culture. They see Christianity is very much a Western thing. They do, as something not African, not anything, and they
quite
go back
interesting, isn't
to
it?
the roots.
They go back to the root. They go back.
And because I looked, and it says about the fact that there were two growths of the African church. I mean, Africa is home to 54 nations.
Yeah, the Pentecostal movement in Africa is very powerful.
Yeah, and there's like 1.2 billion people. And, it's the poorest nation. But they reckon that the population is going to double by 2050. But there were two... looking at history, they were blessed by two periods of massive church growth, and the first was in North Africa, and that was in the beginning of the gospel really going out to the world, and they said an estimated 40% of Africans were Christians, although only 45% had actually heard the gospel at that time. And then Islam came along, as a religion, and then snuffed that out. But some of the people from that time, one of them was called Hadrian, from modern Libya, and he travelled to Britain and became the abbot at a monastery in Kent in 670. And he was highly influential in our church, in the beginning of Christianity in this country.
So a lot has come out of Africa.
Yes.
A lot has gone. A lot of missionaries have been put into Africa as well. It's two-way traffic.
And then second period of rapid growth was in the 20th century, and that was in the southern part.
Really?
Yes, and they say that by 2060, it's thought that nearly half of the world's Christians, hundreds of millions, will be living in sub-Sahara Africa, despite all that's going on.
It's still going to be very popular.
So you see this press of the enemy again. In all these places, it's this like panic reaction. We do not want to be overtaken by this people group. No. It's the same sort of Egyptian mindset thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
this,
it is,
that we've got rid of them. We've got to suppress them. They can't be over us, and yet you've got the beauty of the gospel, and you can see that in some cases there has needed to be a hard press, although my gosh, what I'm reading about is so hard to
comprehend,
to look, to take it sometimes. But we've got an issue in part of Nigeria. I know some people won't like that, but the fact is there is some sort of prosperity gospel there.
Oh yeah, of course.
And that has caused great harm to the church.
It will.
And because they've looked at this and they said, look, this is what your church is about. This is what Jesus is about. This is, you don't care about, because remember, these people are in poverty.
I know. So when you think one of the hardest places for poverty in the world is being given the prosperity gospel, and nothing is happening because that prosperity gospel isn't the gospel of Jesus Christ.
And then Islam
that
comes
is having
along.
a reaction to Islam, saying, "Look, fake.
We believe in
Oh,
God, and we are, and we give to the poor, and we do this.
We can offer this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you can see how. So now, you use that word a lot, I know, in your sermons, being stripped back.
Definitely.
They've been absolutely stripped back to say, no, this is what it's about. It's about Jesus.
This is about Jesus.
And to the point, like, I'm reading about, children who are crying out and still won't say, the prayer they're asking them to say, and it's
horrific.
It is.
It's barbaric.
The youngest one that was martyred was 5 years old.
Oh God.
And it's shocking, and that was in Sudan. But then, as I say, we've got these things that I was looking at over Christmas on this CD that Open Doors do. And, Cameroon, that's another place where, Boko Haram have terrorised people. And this lady, Fadi, her sister was kidnapped, one of the first to be kidnapped. And as a result, sadly, her mother died of a heart attack as a result of the shock of that trauma. But she has remained strong in her faith, and yet she has had to flee from the place where she lived then. As a young girl, she had to move somewhere else. They then were attacked again. Mm-hmm. She's had to move again. And again. And they now, she's living somewhere where she only stays there during the day, and then they sleep in the mountains because that's the safest place to be. But she hasn't given up, and she's during, all this, the COVID business, some people managed to get through to give food aid, and she was dancing. And she was sitting there, they took some pictures of their village, and she was praising God, and she was there, with whatever it is, maize or whatever, and she was saying, I still love Jesus, I still, and thank you for all that you're doing for us. And then there was a widow whose son has been able to go to school, and I pray for him, I pray for the protection of those children. They are so precious. He wants to be a doctor. And that's it. That's the spirit, that they have against all this
against
terrible,
all odds.
Yes, against all the odds, And so,
I think, Sandra,
so
where that word comes in, there's hope.
Yes,
and that's very difficult for a lot of Christians and maybe non-believers that tap into this, that think, well, where is this God of Israel amongst all this? We heard and we know children are being martyred and all this sort of stuff. There's always hope, there's always hope. We are in such a fallen world. It is the officials, it is the governments, it is the leaders of these nations that are allowing this to go on. God has given a clear exit for everything. There is a way forward with God. So when we see all this stuff going on, the Bible says about persecution, it makes it very, very clear that there will be persecution. But these lives are not being taken because of God. These lives are being taken because of the brutality of human beings. Yeah. Because of the evil drive. Yeah. It's not,
And this ideology that,
See, there comes into it's twisted, and we have the power of free will to whether walk with your brother and sister and be close with your neighbour, or to be the opposite.
And I think for them as well, and I do pray for the pastors, and we know many of them have been martyred because they have broken in to their communities and have shown Jesus to the villagers. And the ones who were following Islam have realised, we've been told about the wrong Jesus. This is somebody else. This Jesus heals. This Jesus, I have forgiveness. I have freedom with this Jesus. And so there are many African, ex-Muslim believers. Coming to Christ.
Of course, we see it and we hear it.
But
by the thousands.
but
there is a cost.
There is a cost.
There is a cost.
But they are meeting the true
Jesus.
Yes,
There's such a significant difference, isn't there? Such a difference.
You know, and so when that happens, it completely changes lives and villages and everything. So I have here, you know, God is building and rebuilding his church because it's being levelled.
Yes.
The physical church is being levelled.
Exactly.
So every day they are burning.
Every day.
Every day God raises up a living stone.
That's correct.
So they burn
a physical being.
But
God is.
He raises up a living stone every time, and as he says, that the rocks will cry out. And I don't know. I wrote this down. By his stripes we are healed. Stand and see what the Lord will do. And he is doing great things, and we really do need to stand with our brothers and sisters in Africa because they are, you know, shining testimonies, and you know that you know, joy and all the, you know, the suffering they're going through and the food, you know, poverty, and you know, but they are still and the, you know, shining for Jesus, and the trauma centres. I pray for them, and these are the prayer points: protection for them and for the churches that remain, actual, you know, buildings that, you know, they'll be protected. So there'll be a place that people can go. They won't be afraid to gather in there, and pray for provision for families, fresh revelation of God's grace for those pastors that are finding it so difficult, having seen so many people killed, displaced. You know, trauma, so much that is on their plate. So we pray for them as well, that they would have the food that they need, economically, and there would be unity within Africa, within Nigeria, that northern Nigeria and southern Nigeria would know what each other is going on, because they don't. There's a disconnect, but now because it's coming onto their border, they're becoming more and more aware of what's going on, and that they will share their resources. And we thank the Lord for all the different support of Barnabas and Open Doors for Strength to Stand, which is equipping you know, churches that are there. And pray for international awareness. And yesterday was the launch of the World Watch List by
that comes around quick. That comes around so quick. And so pray that you know, what was said yesterday will really resonate and make an impact.
Yes, you know, and that it will go up the agenda. So just pray for our brothers and sisters, but thank the Lord, thank God for what he's doing behind the scenes as well, and continue to pray, you know, that pray for our enemies, as it says, and this ideology will be pulled down, like Paul says, doesn't he? Our warfare is not against flesh and blood, but about every
principality in heavenly realms.
And tearing down strongholds,
it's a very clear scripture.
So that's what it's about.
It's prayer. So prayer is the key. So there may be many out there wondering, how can I support this? You can support this financially. You can go online. There's a donate button, so you can go on to barnabas.org. It's very easy to find. It's enormous, this website. It's fully loaded with everything on there. You get bi-monthly magazine, you can read it online, you can subscribe to it. They've got videos, they've got Africa is obviously this month, so you can get it through a PDF and other ways. There is just so much information. I'm just scrolling through as we go. There's pages of it. So you've got hours of reading, so there's a lot of prayer points, there's a lot of connecting points with people in the displaced church. So there's Africa, there's India, and there's Pakistan in that. So it's loaded. It is fully loaded with information. There is just a simple subscribe button. It just says sign up to receive the magazine. So how easy can that be? So obviously financial, they've got a donate button in red that you can do that, you know, and accepting all the cookies and all the razzmatazz. So as you click the buttons, you're straight in. very easy site to navigate. So I would, and Sandra would encourage anyone to go onto Barnabas. And obviously there's Transworld Radio as well, which is a great site. You've got Open Doors, and you've got Release International. So there's a good few places, and Voice of the Martyrs. Yeah, that's one that sits a bit in the quiet. Voice of the Martyrs. So there is a lot of information.
CSW.
CSW, yes, Sandra. There's so much, isn't there?
This professor who has a children's home in Nigeria, and he's been terribly persecuted, and all the children were sent to other homes, and then they were badly treated, and he's going through different courts, to get the children back. Of course, and he's also, got to go through a court procedure because they were saying that he was doing things wrong, and it's all fabricated. So that's something that CSW are particularly campaigning about. So if you want to actually follow somebody and, make a difference there, and writing to your MP, and that's still important, and to the envoy for, religious freedom as well.
That's easy to find on the government site. There's lots of ways you can support the world of the Persecuted Church. Sandra, we just want to say thank you so much. Time has gone. Yeah. The builders are itching. We are so sorry about the noise that came over a little bit earlier, but that's the reality of where we are. So may God bless you and strengthen you. Sandra, thank you for sharing for these 30 minutes. You will catch us again, God willing, next week. The noises will disappear as the builders will exit the building in the next few weeks. But thank you so much. You can find us on Buzzsprout. You can find us on iHeartRadio and Apple Music, as well as Amazon Music. Amazon Music is an easy place to find everything regarding the podcast that we have been doing over the last number of months. Just type in Reverend Ben Cooper's podcast and it will come up, and that is an easy site to navigate, or Spotify, any of those. But thank you so much for everybody around the world for listening and sharing everything that we do. Have a great day, and God bless.